Welcome to another edition of SVSU Red Alert, your weekly update on Saginaw Valley State University athletics. I'm your host, JJ Bain. The SVSU football team got their first victory of the season in dramatic fashion over Northern Michigan. We'll review that with SVSU head coach Jim Collins, and we'll also get an update on SVSU women's soccer with their head coach Michael O'Neill. That's all ahead on this edition of SVSU Red Alert. Welcome back to SVSU Red Alert. I'm JJ Bain, joined by SVSU head coach Jim Collins. And Coach, I know you've been keeping a positive attitude on the season. Your team's been doing the best they can, but it has to feel really good now to finally have a victory to talk about.
Absolutely, JJ. And, I got to give a lot of credit to our players hanging in there. As a veteran coach as I am, you've been through tough times before, and you have an understanding of the fact you just got to keep pressing, keep working. Good things will happen as long as you believe in what you're doing. But to tell 19 and 20 and 21-year-olds that's tough for them to believe in it. But they kept believing all along, and I give them credit. I'm proud of them. And what we saw was a culmination of just a lot of hard work for the last 8 months, I think, come to fruition on Saturday night.
Particularly because I think the game pretty much was an exact example of what this team's been going through all the way through the season, from the standpoint that, you're behind so much of the game. It's cold, it's rainy, it's easy not to be into it or to get down on yourself. They didn't do that. And then you put together a 19-play, 75-yard drive, took 9 minutes, 23 seconds off the clock to finally tie the game. And that's when I think everybody could see this team, they're still giving it everything they got.
Absolutely. There were, going in the locker room at halftime, you could sense that there was a little bit of frustration because we couldn't score and we had some opportunities, but there was no give up. When we looked in the eyes of the players at halftime, every single one of them just had a confident feeling about themselves. And they knew that if they just keep going, keep pressing, keep banging away, that good things will happen. And that's what you saw in that 19-play drive. We had to convert some third downs, some fourth downs, but there was a belief. There was just a persistence, and then we end up scoring to tie the game, and it all coming together.
And the touchdown on that drive, I thought, that's a play that unless you were there that night, you don't know what a difficult throw that was for Keith Moore to make, going into that end zone, into the wind. Yeah, Fobbs was open. He did a good job. But that's not an easy throw to make given those conditions.
No, and I'll tell you, JJ, if you really watch the video, that you had a safety coming from the middle of the field trying to get there. The corner was trying to recover, so it was a really tight window to the wide side of the field. And he made a great throw. And, the interesting thing about that touchdown is the play before we had an offensive penalty, so instead of being 3rd and 2, it's 3rd and 7, so now you put all that pressure on yourself to make a play there. But once again, I think it really shows the character of the football team to be able to deal with that penalty and still execute and score the touchdown.
And then, of course, all of this a foreshadowing for the play of the night, and at least the play of the season thus far, where your defensive end, Murtada Jabi, comes up with an interception and then returns it 49 yards for a touchdown.
Exactly. And, we got to give a lot of credit to our defense overall. Northern Michigan scored in the first quarter, and our defense shut them out from that point on. And, when after we had scored to tie it up, we kicked off to them. We got a stop. We got the ball back on our own 7, got the ball to midfield and had a punt again. And here they had the ball with a little bit more than a minute to go. And they throw the pass, and we did a great job of executing that blitz. We blitzed. Our defensive end, Murtada Jabi, dropped into coverage. Quarterback never saw him. He makes the pick, but then he still had a long way to go. He had about 51 yards to travel, and he really showed off his athleticism. He ran the 51 yards, and our whole bench also ran the 51 yards with him.
And for me, it was a particularly interesting experience as well, because I run into him in the bowels of the Ryder Center about an hour after the game. I mean, the lights are all turned off. It's dark. We give each other the man hug and everything. But then he's talking about how happy he is he said, y'all, people like me who are associated with the program but haven't been able to have the success, aren't out there seeing it in practice every day. And I thought that was really insightful, because you always talk about character as part of your football program. What does that look like? Well, to me, it showed here's somebody who made the play of his career as a senior, and he's happy, but he's even more happy for the other people who get to enjoy it.
Absolutely. And, that's a great example of someone who's invested in the Saginaw Valley. Not just football, but the Saginaw Valley community. And that's a special thing I think about the people in our program. They understand that it's not about them, it's about us. And when we talk about us, we're not just talking about those 120 guys that get to have their names on the roster, but it's about the people at the university, the people that have made Saginaw Valley part of their lives. So, we talk about it all the time. We're playing for us, but we're also playing for everybody. And anyone that's a part of this university in any way possible is a part of our program.
Talk to everyone about what it was like for everybody who is, down on the sidelines, part of this program, in that game when, as you said, you kept having opportunities, you just couldn't get any points on the board, but you kept hanging in there, because if you don't do that, we're not talking about this game the same way.
Absolutely. And JJ, with the exception of the Ferris game, that the score got a little lopsided in the second half, there was never any quit in that game. But, I think we realized that at a point in that game, we're not going to win it. We just got to keep playing hard. But in all of the other games that we've had, they've been close in the second half, and there's been a belief and a faith on the sidelines right to the final gun. So, we never wavered on the sidelines. There was a positive vibe from everybody, and I'm talking offense is struggling, and there's guys on the defensive side of the ball saying, offense, we're going to get it. You guys are going to score. Don't worry about it. And then the great thing is, we didn't get the chance to score the winning touchdown as an offense, but we had a chance to still win the game because we had our defensive players step up and make that big play.
So SVSU able to get a big win over Northern Michigan, 14-7, the final score, as SVSU now undefeated in the month of October. Their next matchup will be against the Ashland Eagles on the road. We'll preview that one a little bit later on with SVSU head coach Jim Collins. But when we come back, I'll be joined by SVSU offensive line coach Mike Ancona. That's next on SVSU Red Alert.
This week's Spring Hill Suites Female Athlete of the Week is Emily Short. Short, a senior on the SVSU Women's Cross Country, helped the Lady Cards to a first-place finish in the Northwood Invitational on Saturday. Short finished in the top spot for the 5K race. She came in at 17:52.18, which was better than the second-place finisher by about 29 seconds. It was her second victory in the 2014 season, as she won the Ferris State Invitational as well. The Cardinals return to action this weekend when they travel to Kenosha, Wisconsin to run in the Lucien Rosa Invitational. The race is scheduled to begin at 10 a.m. Emily Short, your Spring Hill Suites Female Athlete of the Week.
Welcome back to SVSU Red Alert. I'm KJ Boehm, joined now by SVSU offensive line coach Mike Ancona. And Mike, talk about what it's been like for you to work with this group. That's kind of an interesting blend of, you got some seniors with a lot of experience coming back, and then some new people that are seeing their first real meaningful action.
Right. We've got three seniors who've seen considerable action, the last 3 years. We've got Jesse Somsel, Logan Hauserman, and Trevor Wheaton. And then, like you said, we got a blend of some new guys seeing GLIAC experience for the first time. So it's been the toughest thing about it is these guys, the younger guys, they put the time in the weight room. They've worked on all their technique, but getting out there in the games and seeing the action happen, at times they're not getting it real quick. And you mentioned it that Caleb Ford was up this past weekend, and he was asking me how it was going. I said, Caleb, you remember your first year, your first start back in 2011? And he's like, yep. I said, that's what it's like. You're ready, but seeing it for the first time, things happen are so fast. It's tough to get it down. So they're coming along well. They're working hard. I think we've improved over the last 4 weeks, and we're just going to come out this week, work these 3 days of practice, get better, and be ready on Saturday.
And you talk about the three seniors that you have, and Jesse Somsel's really the only one that's played in a consistent position over that whole time, because you had Logan Hauserman switch from right tackle last year and the last couple of years over to left tackle, and then Trevor Wheaton, who's starting at center this year. He's basically played everywhere on the offensive line.
Right. Jesse's been solid at guard since he began starting back in 2011, I think is when he first started starting. He's always played guard. And Logan, you're right, first 2 years he was at right tackle. We lose Tevin to graduation, so we moved him. Natural is to move our right tackle over to left tackle. And Trevor's played everything, like you said. He's been a center, he's played tackle, he's got reps at guard. So he's that utility guy that we can plug in any position if we needed to, and he's got experience there.
And then you've also had to deal with it at the right tackle position where you had Nick Brunner, who was starting for you. He went down with an injury, and now you've had to see Kyle Tiller step in for the last 2 games primarily because Nick was injured early 2 weeks ago against Ferris.
Right. It was a great battle through camp for that right tackle position between Nick and Kyle, and unfortunately Kyle got injured going into our first week. And Nick played well, and then unfortunately at the Ferris game, he got an injury, and Kyle had come back, and he had 2 weeks of practice, and he stepped in. He's done a good job.
And talk to people about what that's like, because that's the part that sometimes I think goes perhaps overlooked, is that those guys are pushing each other. Yeah, they both want the job, but they also both know, hey, if I go down, the team benefits by having somebody right behind me who's able to step in and play well. Right.
Yeah, you know, what we try to do, and what I try to do up front is, you just don't know right tackle. You know right tackle, and you get comfortable at left tackle. If you know tackle, you know guard. So, right, you're competing. I mean, we want to play the 5 best offensive linemen, and sometimes it happens to be 4 tackles and a center. And then out of those 4 tackles, I got to find 2 guards. So that competition isn't within the position itself. It's with the all 5 or all 7 or all 10 offensive linemen who want to get a shot out on the field.
And then I know you've been alternating some at that other guard position opposite Jesse, where you've been able to get a Bearden Sanusi and Antoine Billings a lot of time.
Right, they were competing. That was the other battle during camp, was that left guard position. And they both were getting a lot of snaps and reps during camp. And in the last couple of weeks, Antoine seemed to get a little bit more snaps at left guard. But though, that's a battle that, you know, Antoine's tired. We want to give him a little break. We can plug Bear in there, and we know that Bear's going to get the job done.
One of the other things I thought is interesting to see in this past week's game against Northern Michigan is that Josh Holton got his first real meaningful reps at running back. And there was one time, you know, he put his head down, ran between the tackles, and had a big run. And there's all the offensive linemen there picking him up and kind of welcoming him, because I think that's kind of like one of those signs you're looking for. It's like, okay, yep, you've got our confidence. We're going to block for you.
Exactly. And I think they were picking him up and excited for him because the crease he hit was about that big. But he put his head down there, ran hard through that hole. And a couple of those guys are good friends of his, Antoine Billings and Christian Porter and some of those guys. So, yeah, we're always happy when that back is getting positive yardage, that's for sure.
But it is interesting because, of course, as an offensive lineman, you don't really get to touch the football, so you got to celebrate when other people have success because of the job you did.
Exactly, yeah. You got to get there, you know, get your face down there, you smile, pat guys on the back. You know, hopefully they pat you on the back and say, hey, good job, nice block.
What's it been like for you working with this particular group from the standpoint of, there's just been so much change in terms of all the offensive personnel surrounding them too, making sure that they're able to go in there and play well week in and week out?
It's you know, the technique hasn't really changed much, the schemes haven't really changed much. So the guys that have been in the program, the redshirt freshmen, the redshirt sophomores, they understand the scheme, they understand the technique. It's just the fact of getting in there when, you know, the pressure's on during games, and that's been probably the aspect that we've really had to work harder at, knowing that, hey, this is for real. We got to learn, we got to get better, and so far that's happened.
Well, hopefully that continues through the second half of the season as well. Mike Ancona, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, JJ.
And when we come back, we'll be joined by SVSU women's soccer coach Michael O'Neill. That's next on SVSU Red Alert. Welcome back to SVSU Red Alert. I'm JJ Bain, joined now by SVSU women's soccer coach Michael O'Neill. And Michael, first of all, welcome to Red Alert, new head coach. Happy to have you on the program.
Thanks, AJ. Great to be here.
And your team, off to a very good start this year, 7-0-2 overall, and coming off 2 big victories over the weekend, first against Ashland and then against Lake Erie.
Correct. Another successful weekend for the program. We started off on Friday against Ashland University in very wet conditions. As we all know, there was actually a lot of surface water in the morning, so we were grateful to get the game going ahead. So obviously with that, the conditions altered the game, and it was a game where it wasn't too much possession as such. It was more a track meet, as they say. But either way, and it's kind of a testament to the group of girls we have here, regardless of what the conditions or the opponent we face, we know we have the assets at hand to win any kind of contest that we face. So Ash University was a tough GLIAC opponent. We were fortunate enough to get 2 first half goals, one of them within 2 minutes, so we're off to a great start. And then it went to a 1-1 tie. Ashland University scored in the 15th, 16th minute, and then Ashley Henderson got the game winner before half time, and then second half adopted a more conservative mindset, conservative attitude, and were able to hold on for a 2-1 victory. So a great win there on Friday. And Sunday, we faced Lake Erie College, another tough encounter. We were 1-0 up, I believe, at half time, and then we're pushing again for the second half goals, and came away with a 3-0 victory. So all in all, a great weekend for the program.
And a good weekend now, because you're going into 2 big matches for this upcoming weekend as well, taking on Ferris and Grand Valley.
Right. There are no easy contests in the GLIAC, but I always tell the players, if you want to play in November in the postseason, you've got to turn up in October, and we're starting to see that right now. We've got Ferris State on Friday, Grand Valley on Sunday. Naturally, you would look towards Grand Valley because reigning national champions, number 3 in the nation, the powerhouse that they are, they attract a lot of attention, and rightly so, a great program. But we're focused on Friday first and foremost. We don't want to let this hard work go to waste by underestimating an opponent. So all our preparation for the next 2-3 days will be for Ferris State. And we'll do our utmost to get a victory there, and then once that game's taken care of, we'll look forward to the competition and the challenge of Sunday against Grand Valley.
What has it been like for you working with this group of young women? You were at SVSU previously helping out the men's program, but now you step in and take over the women's program, and I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better first 9 games.
Right, exactly that. I mean, I'm enjoying it, and I feel the results and the success we're having is a huge factor. Maybe if we took a couple of defeats, I may be feeling a little bit different, but either way, I'm enjoying and influence and impacting this program. And by all accounts, these first 6 or 7 weeks, I mean, it's even taken me by surprise to a certain extent. We're off to a great start, but this program is heading in the right direction, and I'm enjoying it immensely. And I feel that with some hard work and some commitment in October, these next few weeks, the sky's the limit this season. Really and truly, this great start we've had can lead to big things, so hopefully more to come.
And what do you need to see from your team now as you get into these very tough matches heading into October for them to continue the type of success that they've had thus far?
It's tough. It's tough. Not a week goes by without someone stopping by the office and saying, what's so special about this team? What's the team got to do to make that postseason? And I tell them the same thing. Nothing changes. The things that have got us in this position are the things that are going to take us forward. And there really isn't anything extraordinary about this program. There's no gimmicks. There's no go-to players. It's just 26 honest, hard-working, committed girls that don't back down from anything. So if that continues, then hopefully the success will too.
Well, hopefully all of that does continue. I know it's a lot of fun to be associated with the program off to such a good start, and hopefully they can keep it going for the rest of the way, and good luck this weekend against Ferris and Grand Valley.
Thank you, JJ.
And when we come back, I'll be rejoined by SVSU football coach Jim Collins. That's next on SVSU Red Alert.
This week's Spring Hill Suites Male Athlete of the Week is Murtada Jabi. Jabi, a senior on the SVSU football team, helped the Cardinals defeat Northern Michigan on Saturday night, 14-7. Jabi recorded the game-winning score when he intercepted a Wildcats pass and returned it 48 yards to the end zone to give the Cardinals a 14-7 lead with a minute remaining in the game. It was his first interception in his collegiate career. He led the defense with a team-high 8 total tackles in the contest as well. The senior was named GLIAC Defensive Player of the Week for his efforts this past weekend. SVSU is 1-4 overall and 1-3 in GLIAC after the victory over Northern Michigan University. The Cardinals return to action on Saturday when they travel to Ashland University to take on the Eagles in a conference matchup. The game is scheduled to begin at 1 p.m. Ashland has a 4-1 overall record and a 4-1 mark in the GLIAC. Murtada Jabi, your Spring Hill Suites Male Athlete of the Week.
Welcome back to SVSU Red Alert. I'm JJ Bamery, joined by SVSU head coach Jim Collins. And coach, you get a win finally at home. Now you got to go on the road for the next two. The first one coming up against Ashland, a team that's off to a good start. They're 4-1 on the season.
Absolutely, and Ashland's got a great program. They're consistently one of the better teams in the league. A couple years ago, they won the league outright. What they do is they run the football. They've done a great job of running the football. They've got big, strong offensive linemen. Their running backs are very talented, and they've had a lot of success running it. Now, the other thing that they've done a great job of so far this year is mixed in the pass. They've got a young quarterback, redshirt freshman, that's really playing well for him right now. He's got some speed at receiver, so they can mix a little bit of play action in with the run game. And then defensively, they try to get in as many 8-man fronts as possible and try to pressure you. And, we haven't played them in a few years. The last time we played them was 2011, so it's not a group from a personnel standpoint we're familiar with, but from a schematic standpoint, they haven't changed much.
That Ashland game was coming to mind for me Saturday night because Saturday night's weather conditions weren't ideal, but they were a whole lot better than the last time that you hosted Ashland on national television when SVSU got the win. But as you said, so many of these SVSU players, they've never had to line up against Ashland and vice versa.
Exactly. The last time we were there was 2010, so it's been a while. And that game that was on TV in 2011, there weren't many of our guys that are playing right now that even got a chance to play in that game. So exactly, it's two teams, and it's the same way for them. They haven't seen a lot of us. So two teams that haven't had a lot of familiarity recently, but once again, you watch them on film, you get a chance to exchange when you're watching other people, and they've got a good football team.
And as you said, it really seems, at least based on what you can see statistically, that they're very much a run-first team. They're going to pass it, play action and things to keep you honest. But they're definitely a team that wants to run the football. So I've got to think this is a big challenge for your front seven defensively.
Absolutely, and that's one of the things that I think, our team has got to be able to rise up to challenges week in and week out. We talk about getting a big win this past one, but now to be able to bounce back and focus on a completely different scheme from a defensive preparation standpoint in Ashland's offense, and then to have some different things and then be able to go on the road. So it's a new challenge, a new mountain to climb. And, that's the one thing. I think our guys are familiar with how hard they got to work during the week. And last week was a great reward for all that work spent. But, it's time to get refocused on Ashland. And we've seen a great response so far.
And what has it been like for your players now to be able to come back to work after being able to really taste victory? Because that's something that, you keep working, but it's nice to actually experience the reward for all of your labor.
Oh, it's nice. And as I said, as a coach, it was funny because Murtada made that comment for you guys. I make it for our players. It was just good to see them get a win and to get that cloud that kind of was hanging over their head and their minds to get rid of it. So it's a different feeling after a win. Obviously, you get the highs of a win, and I think the biggest thing right now is I wanted to see how they were going to respond today from a practice standpoint. See if they were back to their business-like approach, work hard, or they still had their heads in the clouds, feeling so good about themselves. And what I saw today was, let's get back to work. We want to get this feeling again, but the only way to get that feeling is to work for it.
Well, hopefully the Cardinals can work for it and go down south to Ashland, Ohio, and come back with a victory. Coach Collins, good luck against the Eagles.
Thanks, JJ.
And we thank you for joining us, and we hope that you have enjoyed this edition of SVSU Red Alert.